what are we comfortable with lending this person? Okay. And then you have some people where they'll get a pre-approval, it's for a certain amount, and they're like, whoa, I didn't think I was going to get pre-approved for this much. I can use all of this. Yes, you can, but that's what the bank is saying that you have access to. Just because the bank says you can go up to a certain number doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go up to that number. You don't have to max yourself out. There are some banks also that may give you a pre-approval amount, but then at the same time, you say, well, man, how can I get a little bit more? How to determine your monthly payment budget when you're looking to buy a home. Let's go right into it. So the first thing that I always like to ask my clients is, if you're paying monthly rent, for example, how are you paying that? Are you struggling to pay that? Let's say, for example, you're paying $1,500, $2,000, whatever that number is, every single month that your rent is due. Are you struggling to pay that? Like, do you have to borrow money? Do you have to move bills around? That means that that number may be too difficult for you. But then on the other hand, if you're paying your rent and it's on time, sometimes early, it's not really affecting your finances, you're not struggling, you're not stressed out, then that may be a good number for you. But sometimes too, we get used to a certain lifestyle, and that's good or bad. Sometimes we get used to things being a certain way, but then that doesn't mean that you can't go lower. For example, if you're paying $2,500 worth of rent, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be at $2,500. You can easily go lower than that. Number two is that the bank is also going to determine your DTI. That's also known as your debt to income. They're going to look at all of your financials, from your credit reports, your tax returns, your check stubs, your bank statements, everything. And they're going to see, okay, what are we comfortable with lending this person? Okay. And then you have some people where they'll get a pre-approval, it's for a certain amount, and they're like, whoa, I didn't think I was going to get pre-approved for this much. I can use all of this. Yes, you can, but that's what the bank is saying that you have access to. Just because the bank says you can go up to a certain number doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go up to that number. You don't have to max yourself out. There are some banks also that may give you a pre-approval amount, but then at the same time, you say, well, man, how can I get a little bit more? So I would say, number one, ask your lender, hey, can I get 5,000 more? The homes I'm really looking to go into, they're about 5 to 10, $15,000 more. Is there any way I can get a little bit more? So you can always ask. But let's say, for example, you're not able to get that. What are some things that you could do to improve your buying power? Number one is that you can ask the lender, hey, what can I pay off that is affecting my DTI, my debt to income, that is essentially keeping me from the number I'm trying to get to, if it's achievable? Okay, so that's paying something off. Number two is, well, you may have to actually make more money, right? Let's say, for example, that you say, okay, well, this is my income based at this job, but I have been looking at this particular, working for this other company. They're going to end up paying me more. What's the process for me to go ahead and get started with this new job so I can go ahead and get a higher pre-approval? Okay. And then obviously you can go ahead and get a co-signer as well. That's going to add additional income to your overall profile, and that's going to help you get the number that you're trying to get as well. But overall, it's going to come back down to how much can you afford comfortably. Okay. Again, you want to make sure that whatever that number is, that you're not going to be struggling to do so. And you want to make sure that it makes sense to you. Just because the bank says, hey, this is what we're okay with, you know what type of lifestyle you're trying to live for yourself. Now, if you like this video, you're most definitely going to like the next one. I'll see you there.